But first, I'd like to bring in our NBA insider, Nick Friedel, who covers the Warriors for us. And Nick, you released a story confirming a San Francisco Chronicle report that Andrew Wiggins is still not vaccinated. And as of August 20th, the city of San Francisco has required proof of vaccination for large indoor events, which means his vaccination status could affect his playing status. So I ask you, how are the Warriors dealing with this internally with training camp next week?
Kaz, this has been a headache for the organization throughout the summer, frankly. In talking to people even in the last few weeks, the conversations are ongoing with Wiggins from different members of the organization trying to discuss his hesitancy, trying to get him to take the vaccine. Now, as the Chronicle noted in its initial report, there's still a chance that Wiggins may be given a religious exemption, but the Warriors aren't sure on that right now. And the hope still exists, certainly, that he will end up getting the vaccine and all will be well. But it has put into a lot of stress and a lot of things in flux as the Warriors try to prepare for what they hope is a season that vaults them back to the top of the West.
So if he doesn't get that religious exemption, what are the ramifications of this if Wiggins is not vaccinated before training camp? And mind you, it usually takes 2 weeks before the vaccination is in your system.
It certainly puts his status for those training camp practices in question, Cass. And the key, as the Warriors are looking at it, and as people around the league are looking at the situation, a lot of it for Andrew Wiggins right now boils down to money. I mean, if he is willing to take the stance that he just does not want to take the vaccine and he doesn't get that exemption, then he's putting in peril couple $100,000 a game and obviously multi-million dollars after that. So again, the Warriors are hopeful that in the end, he will get the vaccine, all will be well going into the season, but nobody knows for sure exactly when that time would come for him.
Yeah, and according to that report, he said he wouldn't get the vaccine unless he was forced to, and determine what forced means. So we will see. The front office will continue to deal with that. Meanwhile, Warriors owner Joe Lacob has been fined $50,000 for his comments on Ben Simmons, basically saying that he wouldn't fit their roster. What's been the reaction to this whole ordeal around this team?
Kaz, you and I have talked to Joe many times through the years and through the organization. Everybody's kind of going, oh, that's Joe. Yeah. He's going to speak his mind. He feels very confident in what he has to say. He has always been outspoken. The question internally has been, will this fine make him be a little less active in how sometimes he speaks to the media? But this is a very passionate guy. This is a very proud guy. And frankly, he said what a lot of people inside the organization are wondering. Simmons has backers inside that organization, but there are other people inside the organization who are going, would this really work, especially with the guy who struggles late in games and especially with Draymond already on the roster. So he just brought to light what the conversation is ongoing behind the scenes.
Yeah, and the fine aside for tampering, maybe he settled some noise that could possibly be entering that locker room with the rumor swirling around Ben Simmons. So make sure to check out Nick's coverage of the Warriors all season long on ESPN.com. Always great talking to you, my friend. All right, let's stay with the Warriors and unpack more with Zach Lowe and Vince Carter. And starting with you, Vince, how should the Warriors handle this situation with Andrew Wiggins?
Cassidy, I tell you, this ties their hands because you talk about a 19-point scorer, 38% shooting. He had an unbelievable season, and he's a great piece. He's an important piece to their team. He played well, and he gives a lot to them defensively as well. So now you rely on him for 41 games a season if he's healthy. Remember, if he's not healthy, not only can you not play at home, you're not healthy to play on the road when they need you as well. So I think he puts them in a situation where what's important to the organization and what's important to him. And you have to make the decision. And when the Warriors make a decision, he's going to have to live with the decision that's made. And I get it. It's his preference, and I understand. But with all of that being said, he has to understand if he continues to do this, he's putting a lot of guys at risk. So if they remove you or ask you to stay away or trade you, that's just what it is. And he's going to have to live with it.
Two stats we haven't mentioned on Wiggins yet are games played and minutes played. He is an Iron Man. He plays a lot of minutes and he plays every game. And for a team with a lot of kind of reclamation projects at the end of their bench, a lot of rookies and young guys at the end of their bench, even if you just think he's an average NBA player or slightly above average, filling that many minutes over that many games while Klay Thompson recovers with an average or above average player is a huge deal for the Warriors. They need Andrew Wiggins. As for what they should do, as Nick said, they've done a full court organizational press to try to convince him to get vaccinated. That has not worked so far. Nick mentioned the possibility of him being fined game checks. I think that's still to be negotiated with the league, with the players union and the teams. I don't think anyone really knows exactly how that will unfold. Do they take whole game checks? Is there something to be negotiated in the health and safety protocols? And the last thing I'll say is this. Right now, this is a Knicks, Nets, Warriors problem because of local ordinances in New York and San Francisco. And I can tell you the LA teams are waiting and watching to see if Los Angeles adopts a similar kind of ordinance that would affect Lakers and Clippers players. So we have not heard the end of this stuff yet.
Yeah, to your point. Certainly. Go ahead, Vince.
I want to say, and I agree with you, that he is extremely important, particularly in the beginning of the season, because Klay not being there and he had a great year. They want to hit the ground running, and he is an important part to that on both ends of the floor.
It is a situation to monitor in San Francisco, also New York, as you said, Zach, as Sean Marks revealed this week, a few of his Nets players are unvaccinated, and, New York has a similar mandate.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.